Yeah.
Feel good?
Feel great.
Perfect.
When I was growing up, mental health was not talked about ever. Not at home, not at school.
It wasn't something that was discussed. It wasn't even something I really considered until much later. I just figured people had issues and you kind of dealt with them. And you look at the models from your parents and people in your community, your family, your friends. That's how I saw it looked at. I don't really recall it being discussed until later. It was mentioned, oh, a family member, they're just acting like that because they're a bit depressed. And a bit depressed seemed to be a temporary passing thing that they would get over if they just pulled themselves out of it.
No, mental health was not talked about in my home. It actually was frowned upon. It was seen as a weakness.
Wasn't discouraged, but mental health wasn't really something that we openly talked about.
You just dealt with it on your own. So, wow. Yeah, you would say like you're sad or you're being bullied or anything, but you would never say it out loud because it would just be worse. So a lot of it was repressed and hidden.
The gender role of men don't allow for them to talk as much about their feelings or what they feel.
Growing up in a fairly stereotypical Eastern European family in Bulgaria, talking about mental health in any capacity is frowned upon. It's something you don't really discuss openly. If you have some personal mental health issues, you kind of just keep it to yourself. You deal with it as best you can, and you just don't bother other people with it. I think that's the main thing. And generally for men, it's seen as a weakness to express that you have any sort of mental health issues.
So the more people tell their stories, the more we become comfortable with the topic of mental health.
Men being made more aware of men's mental health and other people being more aware of mental health in general, but I definitely think that there is much progress.
Getting access to mental health, which has been a challenge. It's very hard. It seems like access to mental health seems to be for the rich and not for minorities or people who are different or people who have lower incomes. Yeah, mental health now, it's huge with everything that's happening in the world.
People are happy to talk about the mental health of others, but not necessarily about their own, because there's still that stigma, because it's still essentially invisible.
Found this insight that told us that 60% of men have admitted they like flowers, but they're afraid it's going to emasculate them. And from that, it led us to another stat that told us that 88% of men won't receive their first bouquet of flowers until a funeral.
Right.
So hearing that and digesting that, would you be comfortable sharing how that makes you feel or what your thoughts are?
Yeah, I mean, that's not really all that surprising, unfortunately. Even if you do show an interest in receiving flowers, even in, I would say Toronto is probably one of the most liberal, progressive societies. So it's not like we're living in a far more patriarchal society. But even here, there's, I think, vast majority of men would be laughed at for suggesting that they like to receive flowers. I mean, I'd love to see that change, but currently I don't think at least in the heterosexual scene, that would be something that either party would want to bring up.
Honestly, that's like so surprising. Even though I previously just said like I don't expect to get any, it's shocking to think like that would be the most appropriate like time for a man to get flowers is his funeral. Yeah, I'm just shocked. I'm like that's my initial reaction is shock, I guess.
When I first heard that statistic, it hits you in the gut, right?
Hearing that 88% of men don't receive flowers until their funeral really shook me. When you first told me that number, I had to sit back and think, no, you're lying. You're joking. I didn't think it was a real number. I thought, how did you get that number? Where did it come from? And then, of course, I looked more into the campaign and I started asking around myself, even to men I know throughout my whole life, have you ever received? And it's true. It's true that men don't receive flowers. And it's something we never think about. It's something that is true, that's definitely time for change. Flowers are not a gender. Flowers do not tell what your personality is. All they are a beautiful object, and you're receiving someone's kindness, you're receiving someone's love.
A lot of times, if a man is sad, we're taught to pull away and deal with it ourselves. And if we're sad about something, it can be an expression of weakness. You walk it off, you go for drinks with the buddies or that sort of thing. Whereas if a woman is sad, the expressions of emotion, gifts and kindness and elements of beauty are brought in as a welcome thing. So the flowers, I don't think it's about the flowers. It's about how we view, how we care, and how we allow emotions from men, women, or genders in between.
Flowers were pretty, and flowers weren't for men growing up.
Flowers in our house were a little bit, it was interesting. They were around, but it wasn't something for like men. It was for my mom. It was for women. It's just, they're flowers. They're for women.
I don't think that a male should receive flowers, to this day. And it's like, why? You know what I mean? Like, flowers just bring so much. There's just something about flowers that are just like really happy and cheerful. And when anyone brings you flowers or gives you flowers or you even buy flowers for yourself, it's just something. The first word that comes there to me is like love.
But, a lot of men don't get shine. And, your stat is that 60% feel bad for asking for flowers and 88% don't get flowers until they die. And, obviously, like, it's the flower is the key there because it works with what you're going with. But if you break that down, it's really just recognition for something, right? So many people are going without the simplest form of recognition and whatever their field is and whatever their simplest thing is. And men's mental health has been such a big thing. And that kind of goes back to what I was talking about of, you could go the doctor, therapist route, or you could just really make sure you have good people around you that are willing to talk to you or with you. And it doesn't have to be like a very organized sit down, just, hey man, what's going on? How you doing? Like, have a smoke on the patio.
I never thought as a guy, I never thought of asking for flowers or wanting flowers for myself.
And I wonder if I were to receive them, how I would feel. I think it would be nice because it's a gift. And because, there is an element of beauty and flourish and color. You have to think about wanting to get someone flowers. You have to go find a place that does arrangements. You have to choose an arrangement. Someone has to then put that together in a way that looks aesthetically pleasing. Then have to bring the flowers to the individual and then offer them as a gift. So there's many steps involved in that. And that thought process is something that's lovely when you see that gift on your table or elsewhere. I also don't think I have a vase to put it into.
Yeah.
It'd have to come with something.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people who have spare vase for flowers at their home. I don't know. I'd put it into a pot or something until I found something better.
Yeah.
As I've matured, now that I'm older, I mean, sure, I'll put flowers in my house. I'm horrible at keeping them alive, but I'll definitely have flowers in my house, and I'm more than willing to give flowers than a younger version of me.
Their whole life, there's a lot of men out there that are very masculine and suffer, and they sit in silence and imagine the impact of being given a single flower, what that could do, and the meaning behind it.
I think there's almost like a buzzword around mental health now, where people are talking more about mental health, but it's always in a way that's very like corporate. We don't in Canada have accessible mental health supports for everyone.
Someone that maybe appears like very masculine or very strong and like, trust me, buy yourself flowers even, and you'll see like the kind of just joy it just brings you. And even in your home, it just like creates this presence that is just really, positive and happy, to be honest. Yeah.
Saying it's okay to have those feelings. It's okay not to feel happy and perfect all the time, because look, the world we live in is not happy and perfect all the time. So why should we? So the more we talk about it, the more people are just becoming comfortable and okay with having down moments and up moments, but not taking your down moment and making it who you are.
Like, what if, and now that I'm older and have recognized that it's okay to talk about it, it's okay to share. It doesn't make you any less of a man or demasculinize you. Sometimes being sad is a lot. Yeah.
At the very least, all we do is start a conversation with people and open their minds, open their hearts. I think that we've accomplished something really beautiful here. And give flowers to anyone.
Flowers can do a lot more than just sit in a vase. So, yeah.
I feel, because of what we've talked about, I feel like I need to buy a lot of flowers for a lot of men.